What is up, guys? Technicals here, coming at you with a farm update video. The first video I've done like this, where I go through the farm, the changes that we've made recently, the problems that we had, and what we did to address them. We're going to go over the electricity bill that we got last month, had some changes there, and just a little knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone type stuff. You guys seem to like farm update stuff and farm-centric videos, so we're going to do that. Also, check this little bar below, because we have the Technicals Pool .com up and operational. We're going to be adding new coins as we see fit. Check over on our Discord for real-time updates and help on the pool if you get stuck. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so if you're new to the channel, then you may not know what my farm used to look like only a few short weeks ago. It looked like this. It was all the cards mounted vertically, sort of hung and suspended with a lot of space in between them. I did this so I get a lot of airflow, and that seemed to work out. As temperatures started to creep up, though, I started getting like mid to high 70s, sometimes 80s, and I noticed when I set it up, I did it really, really fast. I did it because crypto was popping, and I was ordering in a lot of parts real fast, and I thought, you know what, this is going to make sense because there's a lot of space, a lot of airflow, so I just suspended them like you see above. I needed to reevaluate and redo the farm. So our first big change, which was, you know, I already sort of highlighted, is we mounted all the cards sort of facing in common direction to get what I call a laminar flow. I know that refers to liquid, but a direction where all the cards are sort of exhausting in the same direction, the fresh air is coming in the same direction, and the exhaust is pulling from that opposite side. This is the farm as it exists now. As you can see over on this side, I have fans suspended. Those hoses running up to the ceiling are for portable AC units. This footage I took when I had those portable units in there. Now, I've pontificated over and over again to not use portable AC units because they kill you on power cost, and they really do. However, when I was setting it up, the temperatures were just out of control. I had to do something, so I put those in there just to take the edge off. Luckily, I'm not running them anymore because the new design for airflow seems to be working out really well. But this is basically how the farm exists currently. As you can see here, all the face plates are facing away from where that cold air comes in. Most cards, with especially the 1080 Ti's and to a lesser extent the 1070s and to even lesser extent the 1060s, kind of exhaust out of the faceplate, and I can only assume that that was done by manufacturers to exit the hot air out of your computer case, because again, these things were meant to be mounted sideways in a computer case. As you can see, all of the cards facing that same direction. That took the temperatures way down, but this is how it exists now, and with those portable AC units, it made issue with power. And so with those portable AC units in, I didn't know if I was going to have to run them indefinitely or not, and I needed more power. I couldn't unhook things, and I was at capacity. So I had the electrician come in. Again, using an electrician, a professional, it's just the way to go. I did have some space available in my panel, and I had them add in 2 additional 120-volt circuits. I'm on 3-phase power, so my regular circuits are going to be 120, and my high voltage, I call it, is going to be 208 versus like 240. And here's the electrician putting in those additional 120s. And these were meant as dedicated circuits for those portable AC units. I got ones that are 10,000 BTU, and they take up about 1,500 to 1,600 watts a piece. And so if you want to run an extension cord or something like that, you got to get high amp extension cords. You got to make a lot of accommodations for these things. You got to exhaust them outside somewhere. You got to get rid of the heat, because the heat those things put off is insane. I put a laser thermometer to the exhaust hose on one of those units, and it was reading like 120, 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Really, really hot stuff. These things are a pain, so you don't want to use them unless you absolutely have to. Like I said, we got it under control, and here's me blowing some vapor in to test my airflow. Vape Nashell. And it works really good. So I hung the box fans over there near where the cool air is coming in. Here's some of the rigid duct that I put in. As of right now, I have 3 of these blower fans in. I'd really like to replace them with something else because they're not very efficient, and they don't really do a great job sucking in. They're about 4,000 CFM, if I recall correctly. I have 2 10-inch and 1 12-inch. You can see here the sealing that we put in there. We did a video on that. The idea being to seal in all the heat so we can exhaust it more easily. Previously, this room didn't have a ceiling, and all the hot air was going into the warehouse, and it was making for really hot employees. And hot employees are not productive employees, and they're not happy employees. So I really needed to kind of shield them from this little project I got going on. So I put a ceiling in there. I used a 1/2-inch foam home insulation board available at your local home improvement store. Per board was about $11 for a 4x8 sheet, so not terribly expensive considering what it's going to be used for, and especially considering the alternatives. It works for our purposes now, and then when winter comes back, then we'll just pop the lid off and then let the heat go into the warehouse to keep them warm. And sort of a fun little nostalgia throwback to all the way back to December of 2017. I commented on Twitter about this. At this point, all the rigs that you see pictured here were making the same amount as my entire farm makes today. Somewhat depressing, I guess, but it's just interesting nonetheless. I love this stuff. I can't get enough of it. It's just so fun to build it, and I gotta tell you, building out the farm is way more fun than anything else. Just putting it all together. If you know me, you know I'm a fan of Legos. I collect Lego sets, and I've loved it ever since I was a kid. I love putting things together, just following the instructions. Back then, only had the 220 and 208 circuits in place. I really thought, like, there's no way I'm ever going to use more than that. And like a month later, I had twice as much. While we're on nostalgia, someone did ask about the Lotus. This was the car before the Lambo, so there you go. Now here's my really sexy video that I shot yesterday in 4K, 60 frames per second. If you like to check me out on my vlog channel, there's nothing really serious over there, but sometimes I just take glamour shot videos of the farm and things, and I put it on there talking about the cooling solution that we put in place. I cut 2 holes in the wall on that far side, put these 2 register grills on there just to make it look not too janky. I'm going to put some furnace filters on there. I haven't put it in yet. I don't know why, because it's so easy to do. I took these 2 24-inch drum fans that I had previously and mounted them both right flush up against the wall to suck those in. These 2 24-inch drum fans have a really high CFM rating. I want to say that they're like 3,000 CFM a piece. Now, obviously, a lot of that is being wasted because you can see the fan there, it's just blowing into the wall. And plus, the register grill itself is blocking a lot of the air. That's why I have 2, and that's why I have 1 more, a smaller one over there to the left. It makes a difference, and I've heard it both ways. I've heard positive pressure in the room is the way to go. I've heard that just exhausting the hell out of things is the way to go. Right now, I've kind of got a mix. I've got really high CFM being pulled out of the room, and I've got pretty decent CFM being pushed into the room. Do a little better to block off the side where the rigs are and make it like one big ASIC miner. That's the idea anyway, because I'm starting to get sort of a vortex effect with the air, and using my vape really helps me to see that. I wouldn't have known that unless I had my vape, so vape nation. I moved the ASICs outside of the room because they were building up too much pressure in their exhaust manifold, and it was pushing back into them, and I was getting fault lights on my T9. I'm not even sure I really want to keep the ASICs, to be honest with you. I just like GPU mining. Down here you see the holes with those register grills and the fans on the other side pushing all that air in. Again, I want to keep it low to the floor to get the coolest possible air. You saw in the beginning the bay door to the outside's open there, so I'm blowing in unfiltered air right now. Not a good idea. You want to filter your air. Here, a shot of the electric. Previously, I had rigs on those 120s. We'll probably fill those up in the coming weeks with all the different things we have coming in. We have a Z9 Mini coming in. We have an FPGA card coming in. Can you believe I got one of those? That's going to be really exciting to set up. So as you can see here, the faceplates of all the cards facing away from where that cool air is coming in because we're trying to exhaust it all in one direction. Looking in here, that's 1060R1, all the same Zotac 1066 gigabyte minis. A nice little glamour shot of running down the road. Man, is that beautiful or what? Another 1060 rig. This is going to be 1060R3. R3 and R4 are both 12 card 1060 rigs. Down here, again, same cards, 1066 gigabytes. Right now, both of them running on one 850 G3 EVGA ATX power supply and one Dell DPS 1200 server power supply. I use the splitters on all these because I run pretty low power on these. I think I run 70 or 75 watts, not too much. There's our metered PDU, 30 amp circuit, so currently at 21 amps, so we're well within the continuous limit. That's the giveaway rig. That's the one I'm giving away. I'm probably going to be announcing the winner next weekend's live stream on Sunday. We got 3 people working on pulling all the entries right now because we got a lot of entries. This is a 1060R1 and R2. It's an 8 and a 10 card 1066 gigabyte rig respectively. Both of them probably on Z270A boards or BTC BioStar BTC 250, you idiot. And this is the style that I run. Basically an ATX power supply that isn't really high wattage and a server power supply. They're just so flexible. I don't see the point in getting these really high wattage ATX power supplies. They cost you $400 and $500. It's just insane to me. I'd rather use server power supplies. 1070 Ti 1 and 2. That's 14 1070 Ti's right there. And going down, this is our NVIDIA junk rig. It's a two 1080s, a 1070, and a 1070 Ti. It's kind of a mutt rig, sort of, of NVIDIA's. I'm going to take a look at our Vega rig, our 5 times Vega 56 rig, and then over into our AMD rack. This is a garbage, which is a mix 3 RX 570s and 4 RX 580s, and then down here at the bottom, 12 Devils, 12 Power Color RX 580 8GB Red Devil Edition cards. Over here at our exhaust, we have our 3 exhaust fans, rigid duct running out to the ports, just to make sure we don't have crimps and kinks and stuff like that. That flexible vinyl tubing really isn't made for that, so we use rigid. These things, they need to be oriented facing the way the things are blowing. Currently, ambient temperature in the room 101 Fahrenheit, and it goes higher than that. So that's just the temperature of the rigid tubing of the exhaust air, just keeping that hot. So 100 degrees on that, it's pretty hot. Let's get a wide shot. We got the ceiling here, we got our lights in, hooked up some cameras. I haven't run the Twitch stream back. I'm not sure if I'm going to turn it back on. Let's do some fast-paced cool shots where we go through the cards real fast. Isn't that cool? I love that kind of stuff. That's the farm. Got the security system up there, got insulation on the doors. Could probably add a few more panels up there to the top. But yeah, it's running great, and since reorganizing, I haven't had to go back there for much maintenance, and that's the way I want to keep it. I don't want to be tinkering with it every day. Another thing too, someone asked me about that I never really mentioned, is the PVC that I'm using right here. I'm using these to support the cards and keep them sort of flat. And, you know, I just love using PVC because PVC is cheap. They got all kinds of fittings for it. You can go out to any home improvement store and for like $10 get all the PVC that you need to do pretty much anything and build anything. You know, it's not going to hold up to a lot of weight or a lot of stress or, you know, hold up over time of abuse. I really like PVC because it keeps everything modular, just like these wire racks. There's nothing that's going to beat the modularity, I guess, of a wire rack like this. And this wire rack, how many cards do we have on each one of these? You know, 36. It could fit probably 50 or 60 cards per rack. These racks were $80 US. And if you buy a mining frame for $50, for instance, the one that the Vegas are on right now, that mining frame is a very nice mining frame. You can tell when you're putting it together, it's very high quality. It's all machined very good, and it's a great frame, but it was still $70, I believe. It's the Veta V2, I believe, off the top of my head, with an MSRP of over $100-something for that frame. And so you could get that and put one mining rig on it. Sure, you can move it around and it's made to do it, but this wire rack could hold, you know, 10 times as many cards. And if you get out of mining or you need to repurpose it, it's a wire rack. You can use it for storage. So I really like these wire racks. Plus, I already had a lot of them. So that's why I use them for mining. On top of that, I put all these wire racks on caster wheels. That way, if I need to get in there and do some work and shut off rigs, I just shut off the rig, unplug whatever's plugged into the actual wall, and slide them out of the way. And sometimes I leave myself enough lead on the wires that I can just move the rack over a little bit. And if you're unfamiliar with the rigid duct, you can see it here. This is a 10-inch elbow. Once I mounted it to the port, both sides have this swivel function, so you can dial it in exactly how you need it to go. All right, so power. How much does it take to power all this? We did it last month. It came out to $305 a week. So this is the bill from last year. Same month, same period, 29 days total. Total bill, we were not mining at all. I was just running my regular business out of there. Last year, 2017, $197.94. You have your usage in there, you have your sales tax and your renewable energy rider, whatever that is. So I just take the total amount paid because that's money out the door and divide it by my total kilowatt hours. Our total electricity cost came out to 14 cents a kilowatt hour because the less you use, the taxes and those renewable energy riders are going to eat into that and drive it up. So taking a look at our total daily averages here, that was from me hovering my mouse when I took the screenshot, but it comes out to about 600 to 650 kilowatt hours used per day. And so here you go. This is last month's bill. 29 days, April 24th through May 23rd, basically the same period. It's off by like 1 day. Our total electricity bill for this entire period, $1,461.61. Our total kilowatt hours used, 16,769 kilowatt hours. So our previous bill from last year was $197. So what we want to do is back that out. So this is the total amount of money that I will consider mining. I'm just going to assume that $197 maintains throughout the year for the regular business that I'm running. Look at that usage, 1392 kilowatt hours used last year versus 16,769. I'm going to assume used 15,377 kilowatt hours during that period. What we did was we subtracted last year's bill from this year's bill to get our total cost for mining, just the cost. And then what we did was we subtracted the kilowatt hours from last year from this year's to get what the kilowatt hours is, and then we did that math, and that brings our kilowatt hour cost to 8.2 cents per kilowatt hour. Again, the math starts to get really sloppy here. So going based on last month, we're going to project into next month. I don't foresee any big changes coming. We got the Z9 Mini, we got the FGPA card coming in. That'll add a little bit, but we're going to be giving away the mining rig, so that's going to go out. We're going to presume that we're going to have 15,377 kilowatt hours of usage next month. We're going to divide that by 30 days. That brings us to 512 per day. We're going to multiply that by 0.08, and we're going to round up. We're going to highball it a little bit to 5. Electricity cost per day to about $43.56. $305, right back where we were before. And so that's the update on the farm, gentlemen. We're killing it. The Discord's popping, the technicalspool.com. We hit a bunch of Raven blocks. We hit even more Redden blocks. We did a Redden giveaway on the Technicals pool. We've got consistent miners there. I'm putting my farm behind it. We're bringing more people in. We're working on all these projects to swell up the Technicals pool, because again, I want to make sure that if you take a chance on the Technicals pool, that we're doing everything we can to hit blocks and make sure you have a positive time there, because I want to keep you there. I want you to stick. I want to trap you in there and you can't go anywhere else. That's what I want to happen. We're going to be doing all kinds of exciting things. The FPGA card, the Z9 Mini. We've got so many projects. I don't have time for it all. So again, I hope you guys like this video, because I get a lot of comments saying I should do just more videos about the farm, because that's kind of my strong suit right now. That's the thing that I got that not a lot of other people have. A lot of GPUs in one area. And because again, I set it up quick and I'm still learning through this process, I think it's great to have you guys along for the ride. Okay, see the description below for this video's Ethereum winner and everything else we got going on. And until next time, I'll see you next time.